All right. So, Joseph, I want to talk about the fact that I think in a state like Texas where we recognize the Second Amendment to carry a firearm, can that then be the basis for a search for officers as articulated here in the department's general orders? Now, I'm talking about the Houston Police Department because we're in the city of Houston. And in General Order 500-1 on page 8, it talks about when an officer can search a vehicle. And officers may search a vehicle when at least one of the following applies. And it talks about there's probable cause to believe there's evidence of a crime, like you have a severed head in the front seat. Oh, yeah, okay. That's going to be justifiable search. And then the next one is the officer reasonably believes a search is necessary for the officer's own safety. And then in parentheses, it says weapon. Now, we live in a state that says you can carry a weapon, and that's your Second Amendment right. And we're not going to interfere with that right. So if we look at cases like Wade v. State and Lau versus State of Texas, where, if you're standing on a constitutional right, for example, the Fourth Amendment, and you tell the officer, no, you can't search my vehicle, can that then be the basis of reasonable suspicion to try to engage in some kind of search of a vehicle?
No.
Right. So then can someone being in possession of a firearm, which you have the constitutional right to do, form the basis of reasonable suspicion or probable cause to search a vehicle? Do you believe? I don't believe so. I think that simply exercising the Second Amendment right to carry a firearm should not then result in you vacating your Fourth Amendment right not to be searched when an officer or when you're in the presence of a police officer. How do you feel?
Well, I think that goes to training and circumstances. Obviously, the police officers have to know what they have to be able to articulate during different circumstances. If it's a aggravated robbery and you find a guy, you might want to look for a gun.
Well, no, but you're in the process of investigating an aggravated robbery. I'm talking about a traffic stop. You pull somebody over for speeding, or you pull somebody over for...
Well, then no. I mean, that's what I mean. It's if you're investigating an aggravated robbery, of course you're going to look for a gun, and that would be something you would look for.
Right.
But if it's a traffic stop, no.
What if it's a DWI?
Same thing. No, that doesn't have anything to do with a gun.
Okay, so you pull somebody over on DWI, and you've approached the vehicle. You believe or have reason to believe that the person's intoxicated for whatever reason. You smell alcohol. Their eyes are bloodshot. The usual. And
at that point, he's already under arrest.
True.
Okay, so why do we need to articulate anything? First, it's going to be a search incident to arrest at that point, right? Inventory search?
Okay, you're right. So then you're inventorying the vehicle and you find contraband, and then that person gets charged with felony possession.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
here's my question, though. Sometimes people are arrested for DWI who are not actually intoxicated.
Oh, come on now.
It gets sticky, but let's just say it's a traffic stop, right? And they've run a red light, or they were speeding, or they failed to signal a lane change or something like that. Mm-hmm. The officer approaches the vehicle. There's a weapon in the vehicle. And the officer asks the person, do you have a weapon in the vehicle? And the person says, yes, I do. Now, some departments will train their officers to pull the person out of the vehicle, mm-hmm. Terry frisk them, maybe handcuff them, mm-hmm. sit them in the backseat of their patrol car,
sure.
and then complete the traffic stop by writing them a traffic ticket or doing whatever it is they feel is necessary, give them a warning or whatever. Other departments, they'll ask the person to turn the weapon over to the officer.
What could possibly happen?
But if you take Houston Police Department's General Order 500-1, literally, the officer, knowing that there's a weapon in the vehicle, now has justification for searching the vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. Do you believe that to be legal?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think 500-1 needs to be rewritten.
It's way too broad.
Yeah. And more importantly, I think it's incumbent upon the state legislature to really step in, take a look at department policies across the state, and say, okay, if we're going to elevate officer safety to the point that we're going to say, if somebody has a gun on a traffic stop, the officer can search the vehicle for the weapon to secure it so that it's not used to injure or kill a police officer. But that's all they can do. In other words, if they go into the vehicle and they find other contraband like a fish that's too short, because this happens a lot with game wardens.
Yeah.
That's what
redfish, quarter inch too short, boy.
Yeah. But the game wardens will use this notion of officer safety. He had a gun because he was out hunting. So I went in to secure the weapon. And then, I found, he killed more than one deer and he only had one deer tag, or he had fish that were too short or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, that results in the detention and arrest or ticketing of the driver or whoever's determined to be the owner of the fish. And I have a problem with that, because I think what it does is it's always used as a precursor to further
certainly
searches. And if the Second Amendment is what it means, and that is you have the absolute right to carry a firearm, I don't believe game wardens should be able to use that as a precursor to then search your vehicle. And I think that's what's happening. And you see
game wardens are a whole nother show. It's a whole other series.
I understand that, but I don't believe that they're extrajudicial. I don't believe they're above the Constitution. I think
me either.
Yeah. And so I guarantee you they have a general order similar to the Houston Police Department's. I can almost guarantee it. I'm searching for it. When I find it, I'll let you know. But I know HPD has this policy, right? That if they think somebody has a weapon, then they can search the vehicle. And I just don't think that's right. I just think that violates the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment at the same time. So something has to be resolved at some court level. And if you take these decisions that have come out like Wade v. State and Lau versus State, you can't trample over someone's Fourth Amendment rights when they're exercising another constitutional right or that constitutional right by, denying you the right to search. Yeah. Okay. So
yes.
Ultimately, the state of Texas is going to have to address this. And I really think the state legislature needs to take this up and say, listen, if officers, for the sake of officer safety, are going to go into a vehicle or go on, on searching someone's person to secure a weapon for the sake of officer safety, then if they happen to find contraband in the course of that search, it doesn't get to come in as evidence. It's just, sorry, but no, if you're going to allow officer safety to intrude upon the Fourth Amendment, you then have to carve out an exception to the discovery of contraband from that, because it prevents it from becoming a precursor search that we see so often with game wardens and honestly, sometimes patrol officers.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm asking the state legislature to do, is to address this kind of glaring ambiguity between department policies that are littered all over the state, I can assure you, and decisions coming out of the Court of Criminal Appeals like Lau versus State and Wade versus State. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, like the Houston Police Department general order, and it says weapon, just by itself, weapon. They don't specify what kind of weapon. I think they're assuming gun.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it could be but they say weapon. Well, a screwdriver, a flashlight, a club, a dirk, a pompanoid, whatever the knives that you can't carry, though you can carry them now.
A mace or something.
Yeah, a mace, a long sword.
No, that's true. And that creates even greater vagueness and ambiguity.
But I assume they're thinking gun.
Right. And so one of the points I want people to understand is, for the average patrol officer, for the average police officer, literally in the state of Texas, I know you're thinking the Constitution. You, the citizen, are thinking the Penal Code and the Code of Criminal Procedure. The officer is thinking general orders, department policy, rules manual, because that's what they can get suspended for. That's what they can get fired for, is violating their department's policy.
Art Acevedo said in a speech when he first got to the police department, the Houston Police Department, he said, wrap yourself up in policy. Wrap yourself in the policy.
Not the Constitution.
Not the Constitution.
Policy.
Not the CC, not the Code of Criminal Procedure or the Texas Penal Code. No. Policy.
Yeah, and you have to understand that attitude is prevalent in every major police department.
Yeah. Well, probably every police department.
How many police departments has Acevedo been chief of?
Most of them.
Yeah, exactly. So just to understand, we're trying to give you perspective on why officers are doing certain things, and you may think, well, that's not constitutional, and you're probably right. But you have to understand they're more focused on their own department policy than they are the Constitution, than they are the Second Amendment, than they are the Fourth Amendment. So that's the constant tug of war that exists in our law enforcement community, is the struggle between department policy and people's individual constitutional rights. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping at some point the state legislature can clear this up. If they need any help, you can call me. You know how to get a hold of me. My phone number's everywhere. Any other thoughts, Joseph?
No. Hey, Mr. Mayor, I still don't see the 911 tape released from Chief Fenner's 911 call. I'm sure that's in the works, though.
We're desperately looking.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks. We read all the comments, so feel free to comment below. Thank you.